Straight, almost up to 350 kilometres an hour after a couple of laps in this session. As Lorenzo with Loris Baz still on his tail coming through turn number 16. Just out of your picture there was Hector Barbara, who's back after a recent injury layoff. He broke his left collarbone in a training accident in Valencia just at the beginning of March. So here comes Lorenzo over the line now. He's currently in 13th place, up to 8. He's on that medium.
KTM and Paul Espargaro in front of him. And he's matching the Honda at the moment, but now here comes Marquez up the inside. We're approaching 215 miles an hour and into turn 1. Marquez leads away, a 156.200. Maverick Vinales' time yesterday, a 154.316, so almost 2 seconds at the moment. But of course they're taking it carefully.
Practice session that took place a little bit earlier on after the rain fell, and a session for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. So the racing line would have been cleaned up a little bit, but it's still pretty tricky out there, pretty treacherous. This is at turn 2, where we saw quite a few riders crash out yesterday to winter testing. It actually wasn't a surprise. It's not like they're expecting him to be right up there, but they're becoming more and more accustomed to it, and it's been great to see Jonas Folger. He said he could have actually been faster last night, quicker than his best lap of 155.587. He made a big mistake at that trick.
Right with Maverick Vinales into the final corner. Accelerates that M1 Yamaha down this 1,000-metre long straight. Familiar number 25. Of course, he rode that number 25 with Suzuki. Was a Moto3 winner, but he made the right move for him, didn't he? As we're seeing at the moment.
He's getting a good close look here at his movie star Yamaha teammate Valentino Rossi just ahead of him on track. Vinales, as he has done throughout winter testing, has gone straight back to the top of the timesheets here with a 155.378. So the track, given that earlier hailstorm and a bit of blustery conditions here tonight, not in bad condition. Yeah, I think we might see maybe a potential Q2 shootout at the end of this session. The weather forecasts have been so mixed since we arrived here in Doha that there is still a potential risk of some rain maybe later on. The riders probably won't be wanting to leave it to chance as Vinales closes right up on the rear wheel of his teammate Valentino Rossi. Brilliant time to go on board with Rossi.
Yeah. There he is, Vinales, following under the floodlights. And so if it is going to rain this weekend, rain tonight and at least get a session in. So much so there could have been an extra session last night if the rain had come.
Rossi was just about to get the Fox pit board there with Maverick Vinales behind him, but Vinales decided...
But he says it's still not completely tame. He's probably going to have the ride like he did last year if he's going to have a chance of the title. But can he afford to ride like that against Vinales, who's in such great form?
Yeah, there's been a bit of a move on the timesheets already. That's Andre on in FP2 because Dovizioso has improved by a 10th, 155.763, which does just nudge him into that top 10. Should we get a little bit of rain later on?
Yeah, you fancy him to be very near the podium or on the podium. Top 7 in every MotoGP race here is really...
He didn't opt to run the soft option tyre at the end of that first session last night. He did say that if you looked at his pace on race rubber, he actually was third quickest behind Maverick Vinales and Marc Marquez, so he wasn't too worried. He said that if it had been raining tonight it might have been a bit of a disaster, but he knew his race pace was pretty solid.
Here is Marc Marquez. This is the replay coming into the final corner, turn 16, when he's a bit damp out there, couldn't it? Certainly be a fair bit of sand out there.
Yeah, it's going to be slick, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Maverick, is that Maverick Vinales? It is Maverick Vinales. Maverick Vinales then, well, that's the first crash that the Spaniard's had in his factory Yamaha career.
Big, huge sigh of relief around this track and even in this commentary box, because there was no sign of him for a minute. And here he goes. He runs to pick the bike up.
First, just a fraction. On board now with him. Into turn number 4. Yeah, he was off gas there. Whether he just was a fraction offline on a dirty part of the track, but that's the first time we've seen Maverick Vinales.
Cal Crutchlow over the line. And his problem was yesterday, didn't he, in the first practice session, Cal Crutchlow?
He did, yeah, an oil leak on that LCR Honda. And Cal said that really spooked him. We know that these guys live on the edge when they're racing 200 15 mile an hour.
Crash, was he slightly offline, do you think?
From what I saw from a screen relatively far away, I would have said ever so slightly out to the left.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, we never really want to assume. But trust me, I'll be waiting outside the box for when he comes back, and we'll speak with the team as soon as possible. Actually, whilst I've got you guys, decided to actually start off without that, with the regular style fairing. So essentially following the theme that all the other teams have been doing so far, they've decided to not use these internal winglets that they've got, just making it a little bit too unstable around the not unstable, a little bit difficult to actually pull the bike around in the faster bend. So just something else to look out for.
This is Danilo Petrucci on the GP17 Ducati. Yeah, it's got a factory.
Blew up like a balloon, didn't it? Jorge Lorenzo just having a discussion with his crew chief Christian Gambarini. You don't need to be a body language expert, do you, to get an impression from Lorenzo that he's not happy.
Either. Yeah.
That's a steely glare as Maverick Vinales makes his way back to the Yamaha garage.
First apology of the season. I don't think there's anything else to apologise about, do you?
Well, he's not a crasher, Maverick, is he? Let's be honest. Yeah, he scored points in 16 successive Grand Prix. So his last race crash was almost 1 year ago in Argentina. So not a sight you see very often.
For a MotoGP rider, I would think that is almost a record in itself. There he is, 22 years old. Lights at the Losail International Circuit for the opening round of the 2017 MotoGP season.
The positive news for Maverick Vinales is he still leads this second practice session, as Nick just said, as we look at Andrejevic, comfortably, by just over 3/10. First flying lap on a medium front tyre, just got a little bit caught out by the wind, locked the front in a straight line, and down he went. Both of them, thankfully, were perfectly okay.
Unlucky for Carl Abraham, because, when he said he was coming back to MotoGP, there's a few raised eyebrows after a very, very tough time in the...
Very late signing, of course. He only signed, I think, in Phillip Island, right towards the back end of last season, to come in and partner Álvaro Bautista, but it's been a pretty good fall for Bautista so far on that GP15 Desmos Adichie. In fact, he was 15th quickest last night with the likes of Petrucci, Miller, Rins, Rabat, Barbara, Polispargo behind him, so some high calibre riders behind Abraham on the timesheets last night, despite the tumble at turn 2.
And again, keep it on that right side of the tyre, 14. Rider get caught out there. Oh, another big wobble for Andrejevic. So the left-hander at 15.
Yeah, he might be aborting this lap.
Probably will be coming. I think he is coming into the pits.
Yeah,
a couple of big moments for him.
Yeah, started bucking and weaving a bit, didn't he? That GP17 when he asked for the passion. The fastest speed we've seen so far this week. It won't surprise you at all to know it is a Ducati. Álvaro Bautista nudging close to 350 k's, 349.6. Bautista's best top speed so far.
Cal Crutchlow back in on the...
He really worried that he might have lost an engine very early on in the season. Well, after just one practice session, that would have put him down to just 6 4-cylinder engines for the rest of the year, but no terminal damage to that RC213V motor.
With our first look there at Andrea Iannone on the scene.
And probably was on the dashboard and lots of front.
Very fantastic, thank you, Mayo.
That's good news, he's okay, and he'll probably be pleased that he knows why he crashed as well, won't he? Andrea Iannone, he's had a mixed old short career at Suzuki, isn't he?
Confidence. A couple of big front-end spills here at that final test a couple of weeks ago. And Davide Brivio was saying last night that they have definitely got some work to do to make him more comfortable on that Suzuki. A combination, really. They need to work on adapting the bike to suit the requirements of Andrea Iannone's riding style, but Iannone himself has got to carry on tweaking his own style to try and help the characteristics of the Suzuki as well. It's a pretty good night so far. He's in 5th place. It's not good enough for a top 10 spot that he'll need to go through to Q2. Of course, there is still that third practice session which will determine the Q1 and Q2 places, but yeah, a much needed confidence boost for Scott Running here just a fortnight ago, because he really was in trouble in Malaysia and in Australia in the first 2 tests. No front end feeling whatsoever. A few front end issues he said last night when he tried to run that.
Second here, Moto2 2013, and was 10th here in the race last year. I think he took pole here once in the 125cc class, and is the youngest ever man to be on the front row of the grid, isn't he, in Grand Prix racing? Of course, he's still the youngest ever Grand Prix winner. Álvaro Bautista won the 2006 125 race here, which actually gave him the world title. Remember 2011, what's that, 6 years ago, had a terrible crash here in practice, didn't he? Broke his femur.
Yeah.
Horrible crash here. for Alvaro Bautista. Best result.
Factory Aprilia most recently, and jumping on the year-old Ducati, he said that it's the most balanced bike he's ever ridden in MotoGP. Easy to handle, smooth engine, and it's a realistic target for him to be fighting every week in the top 5. We hope so, Dylan.
Well, guys, I'm actually just down here with Gino Bosoy from Aspar. Gino,
our pre-test was really good. All the session during this winter was really nice. So he's adapted on the bike really fast. It's a pleasure to work with him, to work also with a new bike of Ducati, because we found a big step compared to last season. So at the moment, everything working very well. We'll see the first race. We know race is always. Honestly, we also think about that, but we have to be realistic. Race is race. We did a really long run at the last test here in Qatar. We are really quite confident about the performance during the race. But anyways, as I said before, race is different. We never know what's going on, weather condition, track grip. So we have to work really hard until. He didn't lose the confidence, because, as I say, this is just the first crash. The crash was not too big for him. Fortunately, the bike was a bit destroyed, but anyway, this is part of the game, and if confident for the race, I think we have also a good chance with a
Bit of light, only a little pinprick of light there for Bradley Smith. For the first time, he's under the 3-second mark between him and the leading man. He's still in 23rd place, and Sam Lowes has moved up to 20th place. In front of Hector Barbera and Paul Espargaro. 2 world champions, Moto2 for the last 2 years. Marc Marquez, obviously the MotoGP world champion, and also a former Moto2 world champion himself.
You just know, don't you, Nick, with Johan Zarco's analytical, methodical approach, he's only going to start pushing plates at the moment with the best of 1:56.090.
Tell you what, I think he'd settle for that on a Saturday evening, don't you, after 22 laps. Dylan.
guys, keep an eye out on Andrea Dovizioso. He's just switched from race trim, medium front, medium rear, to soft front, soft rear, so it looks like he's taking no chances about his path into Q2.
Yeah, the thing is absolutely right. I mean, we're sat in the commentary box, you're down in pit lane, but the weather forecast for this evening was... So what have we got left? Just over quarter of an hour. Vinales, despite a tumble, a 1:55.378. The combined practice times, well, they're all going to come from yesterday, apart from Andrea Dovizioso, to say is now on those softer option tyres with the factory Ducati, but it's the same as it was yesterday, as you would imagine. But this Folger Dovizioso a little bit further down, improvement for Sam Lowes, as we said, and an improvement for Bradley Smith. We have 14.5 minutes remaining. It's the second practice session here at the Losail International Circuit for the opening round of the 20.
Last night, Pedrosa currently in 14th place, 1:56.767 his best time. That's almost 1.4 seconds off of the benchmark set by Vinales this evening so far.
Bradley Smith will be even happier now. He's going in front of his teammate Paul.
Dovizioso, as Dylan said, quite rightly to keep a close eye on the Italian, because he's out on those soft option front Michelin rear tyres, and he's quick through the first sector, up by 0.07 of a second.
Yeah, watch Cal Crutchlow on the LCR Honda coming through, and we go back to Dylan.
Practice 3 this afternoon, plus it is arguably going to be that little bit harder to set a lap once it's cooler, darker, maybe even a little bit humid. So this usual end of free practice 3 shootout that we get on a regular Grand Prix, I believe that is going to happen within the next 10 minutes.
You can almost see the race line, can't you? You can almost see it. It's a different texture with the sand on either side. As we watch Dovizioso, third tonight, that he would be safely into Q2 tomorrow evening.
Yeah, the man who we saw on the cusp, who will be hoping it doesn't rain later on, was Valentino Rossi, who's in 10th place. Dovizioso then in this session moves up to second place with a 1:55.568. That's just under 2/10 behind Vinales, and that should pretty much safely cement Dovizioso's spot in the top 10. Should we get
Herb Bride by Dovizioso? He's very, very good here, because the Ducati's good here as well at the Losail International Circuit, and you've got to think he's going to be on the podium in the race. He's the one man that probably won't crash out. Was, you remember, Iannone last year led the way, didn't he?
Had to see it. Soft front and rear combination for Petrucci, and he moves up 11 spots, a 1:55.760, which does push him inside that top 10, and I think That's bumped Rossi down to 11th
I think
place.
it has, yeah. I'm
combined
just
times.
looking at last night's times.
Looking at the comp. Yeah,
Started the race here last year, didn't he, in pole position and led the way. All the other riders have been ride through penalties, all the top riders, haven't they, for jumping the start. It was a great opportunity to win the race, and he crashed.
Yeah, he was already streaking away, wasn't he? He would have won that Moto2 race by about 3 minutes. At FP1, Valentino Rossi, the slowest of the 4 Yamahas, behind 2 rookies. And again this evening, Rossi, as it stands right now, is the slowest of that quartet of M1s.
Will he put a rabbit out of the hat? Never write him off. What about Danny Pedrosa? Looked very useful yesterday. Had one little moment up at turn 9 when he ran off the track. Apart from that, he looked very, very good indeed. Two-spec
Michelin tyres, that new profile front tyre designed to give the riders a bit more feeling on braking and corner entry, and the extra performance that Michelin have found with the rear tyre. Danny Pedrosa's comment last night was they've definitely improved the tyres getting up to temperature. They seem to be getting up to optimum working temperature a little bit quicker. Now that is absolutely a gift for Danny Pedrosa. Because of his diminutive size, he does
a little bit on his side. He's had podiums here in 07, 8, 11 and 14. He was 5th in the race here last year. Of course, 6th in the World Championship last year, Danny Pedrosa. But he carried on that tradition of winning a MotoGP race every season. That great rider, Mazzano. Dylan.
Got of preload on the front, which should help him keep the line in a turn that little bit more. Plus, some riders actually prefer the front tyre once it's got a lap or 2 kind of scrubbed in. So certainly try and keep an eye on him again.
Is that rabbit being pulled out of the hat by Valentino Rossi?
Yeah, just after Abraham runs wide at turn 15. Bautista on a good lap as well. This could be certainly a top 5 lap from the Spanish rider. On board with Rossi then. Rossi could be moving back into the top 10 as well. Bautista will come over the line first. Here he is.
Over practice 2. Viñales at 1:55.378 is the fastest today. He has had a tumble up at turn 4, perfectly okay. The lap he set yesterday was a 1:54.316.
Here's Alex Rins on the factory Suzuki. Good job so far tonight by Rins. He's up into 12th place. 1:56.
Lucky Karel Abraham in front of him. In the end, Karel Abraham running it wide at turn 15. The only person in front of him now is Alvaro Bautista, and he's setting a rare old pace at the front. It's not going to bother him. Both fastest through the second sector. 5 minutes to go here in Qatar.
Rossi must be on the softs for this pace. Let's see if we can have a look at his tyres. Yeah, he's got the soft tyres on. So this is a full-on third split.
Here is Rossi coming into turn 16. Karel Abraham. This is Johan Zarco. Zarco on a very, very good lap indeed, with 4 minutes 20 seconds to go. Here he is, the Moto2 world champ, up in there, crosses the line, he goes top, 1:55.208, but
Redding.
no, Scott Redding, 1:55.189.
Well, it got pretty tasty at the end of FP1 last night. It's been excellent again so far tonight. Redding top then, 1:55.
And Marquez and Pedrosa and Lorenzo, who are both struggling a little bit in this particular session.
Yeah, Scott Redding here, Nick, is using Folger as a brilliant reference just ahead of him on track. Folger's on a hot lap himself. Looks like he's just behind Jorge Lorenzo. Here is Redding though.
And the screen is full of red marks.
So there's Johan Zarco, who was pushed back to 4th place. He led the timesheets at one stage for about 10 seconds. Pramac Ducati mechanics looking on to see what Scott Redding can do right at the end of this session. Here comes Zarco then. Will he move back up into top spot? He's over the line now. He stays in 4th place. Lost a couple of tenths coming down that start finish straight. Redding though.
Third, and Redding top, a 1:55.085 for the British rider. Just under 2 minutes to go. Let's look down the screen. There's no other red helmets at the moment. Is that it?
Well, Scott Redding was looking for some front-end confidence at the start of pre-season testing. Well, he's certainly found it now. And one man who won't be enjoying in the top 10, although in this session, he's way down the rankings in 18th place. Dylan.
Well, guys, one slight interesting thing for anyone techie out there. Jorge Lorenzo, I've not seen this before much in a team. During the session, he's actually switched from the regular...
Good moment for him in the first practice session early on. And an oil leak caused him all sorts of problems at turn when he didn't crash, but it did spook him a little bit. This could be enough from Cal Crutchlow. We look at the watch, there is 20 seconds to go, so he might just get one more lap. He might just...
Lap coming in from Aleix Espargaro. He was 10th last night. Here he comes over the line now, and he goes up into 10th place. Still not enough, though, to move him back into that crucial top 10. A 1:55.750 puts him up into 10th in this session. Scott running
in this session very comfortably indeed into his first ever MotoGP qualifying session. As we stand at the moment, of course, we've still got one more practice session. What will the weather do? We will wait and see. Well, to say, looking out the window, we look all right at the moment, but it can change dramatically here. But great session for Folger and Zarco, 3rd and 4th respectively.
Times, just to perhaps give you an indication of how the track's behaving this evening so far. The best time by Reading, 7/10 of a second slower than Maverick Vinales' quickest time last night. So the track's still not in as good a condition as it was last night.
What do you think about the track, Dylan? If it doesn't rain, will the track get better? But it will be cooler, won't it?
No, exactly. It'll get better, and we'll have Moto 3 and Moto 2 out there. We'll have this, I think, is going to show us the best indication of the actual race pace, because it'll be at a similar time to the race on Sunday.
Check out those Suzuki flag helmets.
Hey.
Franz Klammer, eat your heart out. They're absolutely brilliant, aren't they? Looks like they're just about to go skiing rather than do a flag to frown there from Jorge Lorenzo. He does not look happy, does he? Despite finishing that session in 8th place, he's over half a second behind Scott Redding and slower than what Redding, Dovizioso and Alvaro Bautista on Ducati spec machinery. So there's clearly still work to do.
As it goes into qualifying 1, qualifying 2, for his confidence, it will be an enormous boost.
Yeah, handshakes all round, smiles from his crew chief, Christian Pupilin on the left-hand side, vastly experienced Ducati man. He's been with Ducati's MotoGP project.
Behind him is Alex Rins. He's just going to practice flag to flag. Yeah, nice and swiftly done. Of course, the rookies haven't done flag to flag, have they? So it's a new experience for them as well. But the helmets are smart, aren't they? Valentino Rossi. Cal Crutchlow, as you can see.
Rossi a place in the top 10 should it rain later on. He was close to 1.5 seconds off the best pace, so I can only assume that Pedrosa just used that session to focus on his race pace, banking on that 1:55.210 set last night to keep him in the top 10 should it rain later on. So I'd imagine it was purely a session spent there for Danny Pedrosa, focusing exclusively on that race setup. I'm sure you can confirm that, Dylan.
Fit a softer option rear, so when you see that number 25 amongst the other riders, bear in mind he did not set that with the softer option rear.
Only faller of the session, wasn't he, Maverick Vinales? I'm racking my brains. We had 3 fallers yesterday, Sam Lowes, Jack Miller and...
Even taking his helmet off, and I think that picture there speaks more than 1,000 words could ever do. Not happy at all. Work to be done quite clearly down that factory Ducati garage.
Valentino Rossi in that top 10 if the weather does change. Confirmation of the combined times. Vinales is still there. Fingers crossed about the weather for free practice 3.
Yeah, the big winner though on night 2 was Scott Redding, up from 12th to 3rd in that second practice session. Marquez still second. Redding, Dovizioso, Folger, Zarco, Rossi,
Jack Miller, Carol Abraham, but Andrea Iannone from the time yesterday on the Suzuki.
Improvements from Rins, Rabat, no improvement from Hector Barber, still struggling with that damaged left collarbone. Paul Espargaro, Sam Lowes and Bradley Smith all found a bit of pace in that second session. They stay 21st, 22nd and 23rd respectively.
Well, the light by the Gloucestershire rider.
Yeah, 6 laps on the harder option tyres there for Reading in the low to mid 156s.
So Andrea Dovizioso at the end of the session, well, you can probably see from his times when he decided, I would think, run 3 and run 4 on the softer option, just to cement a place in qualifying 2, just in case the rain came for that 3rd crucial
door from Scott Redding and Andrea Dovizioso. So that looks pretty good as far as Jonas Folger's concerned right now.
Let's have a look at Johan Zarco. Equally impressive stuff from the Moto2 World Champion. Some high 156, and then he got to run 3, a couple of Redding, Folger and Rossi. So, nice little combination there, isn't it?
Yeah, sector 2 led by Johan Zarco and Valentina Rossi. Yamaha territory with Zarco and Rossi. Now, Alexis Spargo getting up there on the factory, Aprilia.
So there we go, 2 practice sessions into the new 2017 season. And if anybody wanted a boost of confidence, it was Scott Redding on that Pramac Ducati, the GP60 machine. Absolutely superb practice session for the British riders.